You wrote a really good article I guess, I don't know, it's been a few weeks ago, on trends in the automotive brake industry. Really
Yeah,
good article. And
thank you.
I'll make sure I'll put the link to the article for folks to go and check it out after they
Okay.
watch this video. Don't
Yeah,
leave yet, but after you watch the video,
yeah.
they could read the article. Really good article. And, you touch on all sorts of interesting areas within the automotive brake industry. But, a couple of things kind of got piqued my interest too, was maybe the differences and challenges of developing friction materials in Europe versus maybe the US, because maybe there's some differences in
Mm.
requirement standards. Do you mind maybe speaking to that a little bit about maybe what the differences are between the two?
Yeah, when you look at friction materials in Europe, they are mainly what we call low met friction materials, disc brake pads
Mm-hmm.
for passenger cars. So there's steel fibers inside the formulations. And the reason is mainly because of performance requirements in Europe.
Okay.
Because we have the higher speeds specifically in Germany, where there's still unlimited speed possible, although less and less, because there are less and less motorways where you can drive as fast as you
Yeah.
can. And also there's, for instance, a test which is called the AMS test, um, which is very harsh on friction materials. And so you really need a very robust friction material, like a low met. If you would use an NEO in that AMS test, it will not survive, because temperatures and the energy levels are so high, it will simply not survive.
Gotcha.
Uh, but and when you look to, for instance, North America or Asia, um, the requirements, specifically on speed, they are much lower. Um, People focus much more on comfort. Uh, so there you can use NEO friction materials, which are mainly based or are using mineral fibers, like our fibers, like Lepanus fibers. Um, and these friction materials, um, they give normally less noise. Also, no wheel dust, because one of the issues with low steel, low met friction materials and is that they give quite high rotor wear because they're quite abrasive, and this results in wheel dust, uh, which with NEO friction materials you normally don't see. Also, the noise can be higher using low met friction materials, and also because of steel fibers, there may be more issues with corrosion.
Mm. Yeah. And so does that mean if you're in Europe, if you're a European supplier, but you supply globally, so does that mean that, I guess obviously you're going to have to make multiple formulations,
Mm.
low met, NAO, all that sort, those sort of formulations to be able to supply globally, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we of course we just supplied raw materials for these formulations.
Mm-hmm.
But in our test facility, we test both kinds of formulations.
Yeah.
Also because we try to see the gaps between both friction materials, and possibly develop a new mineral fiber which can close these gaps.
Yeah. Yeah. And in your article too, you talk about, I guess, high performance NAO. So
Yeah,
what exactly is that? Because I haven't necessarily heard that terminology before.
yeah, that's quite interesting. What we see, of course, there are two different friction materials. So a car manufacturer, car producer, they, for instance, one model, and they need two different friction materials.
Mm-hmm.
One for Europe and one for let's say the rest of the world.
Yep.
Um, for cost, looking at cost, they prefer to have one friction material, because there's a lot of cost pressure coming from the market, from the automotive market.
Mm-hmm.
So they really try to, or they would like to have one global friction materials. So we know in Europe, the main OE producers, brake producers in Europe, they're all trying to develop high performance NEO, or we prefer nowadays to call it global NEO. Um, and also, we are visiting all the major friction or brake producers worldwide. And when we ask the question in Asia to some of our customers, like, are you looking at developing high performance or global NEO friction materials? They said, no, not specifically, but we are looking at higher friction levels and to try to decrease the high temperature friction material wear. But in fact, that is a global NEO.
Yeah.
So they don't call it like HP or global NEO, but they're also working on it. So